All right, today we're going to dig into a story that doesn't start in some lab or a health food store. Nope. It starts at the very dawn of our planet. This is the story of spirulina, but I'm willing to bet it's not the one you've heard before.
Okay, let's just pause on that for a second. That statement, it's not a metaphor, it's not an exaggeration. It's a straight-up biological fact. We are talking about a form of life that has existed on this planet for a truly mind-boggling amount of time.
Get this, 3.5 billion years. I mean, that number is just staggering. To put that into perspective, spirulina was here long before complex animals, way before the trees in your backyard. It predates pretty much everything we even think of as life.
Which, brings up a really good question. If this organism is so ancient, so fundamental to life on Earth, how in the world did it end up getting shoved into the wellness aisle as just another green powder for your smoothie? Let's get into it. So, for this first part, let's stop thinking about spirulina as a product. Let's think of it as a historical force. It's a living fossil that literally helped shape the world that we all live in today.
And you can just see this incredible continuity. I mean, the same ancient life form that helped create the very oxygen we're breathing was also a core part of human diets for centuries. Cultures like the Aztecs and tribes in Africa, they weren't using it as some trendy supplement. No way. This was survival. This was real nutrition, dried into cakes that they actually relied on to live.
So what is this stuff exactly? Well, this next part really gets to the core of what makes spirulina so powerful. And the key thing to get is that it's not just one thing. It's basically a complete food source packed into a microscopic little package. So here's the simplest way to think about it. It's a type of microalgae. But the most important part of that definition is the phrase complete food source. That's huge. It means it has this huge range of nutrients the human body needs to function, and they're all in one place.
And this chart really shows you what complete means in practice. You've got all the essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. You have this really rare blue pigment, phycocyanin, that has these potent anti-inflammatory properties. Then there's chlorophyll, highly bioavailable iron, which just means your body can absorb and use it super easily, and a whole spectrum of vitamins and minerals. It's a symphony of nutrition, really.
And hey, if you need a modern-day example of just how efficient this stuff is, just look at space exploration. When every single gram of cargo you're launching into space matters, and you need to pack the most nutrition into the smallest possible space, spirulina is on the short list. That right there tells you everything you need to know about its power.
But what spirulina is made of is really only half the story. The other, maybe more interesting half, is how it interacts with our bodies. It doesn't just act like a blunt instrument. It's way more subtle, way more sophisticated than that.
Just think about a typical detox for a second. The goal is to get rid of toxins, right? But so often these really aggressive methods also strip the body of essential minerals and nutrients, and they can leave you feeling totally depleted.
And this is the game changer. Spirulina has been shown to bind to things like heavy metals, industrial pollutants, but it does this while, at the same time, delivering all that dense nutrition we just talked about. So it takes out the bad stuff while rebuilding with the good. That 1-2 punch is incredibly rare.
And we see a really similar pattern with the immune system. A lot of things are sold as immune boosters, and they can act like a weapon, sometimes just overstimulating the whole system. Spirulina, on the other hand, acts more like a regulator. It helps to balance the immune response, especially in situations like chronic inflammation, where the system isn't weak, it's just confused.
Okay, now because it has these powerful effects, it's really easy for claims to get way out of hand. So we have to be extremely clear and responsible here. The source material is adamant about this. Spirulina does not treat cancer. To even suggest that is just dangerous and completely misleading.
So instead, the focus is on something a lot more subtle. It's about improving the body's overall terrain. It helps create an internal environment that's just less friendly to disease. It does that by reducing stress on the system, supporting your natural detox pathways, and making sure your cells get the oxygen and nutrition they actually need. It's working on the underlying conditions quietly and effectively.
All right, so this brings us to the real heart of the story. If spirulina is this ancient, nutritionally complete, intelligently acting thing, why isn't it front and center in every health discussion? Well, the answer seems to lie in what our source calls the profit paradox.
Let's just break this down for a second. For a modern, profit-based medical system, spirulina is kind of a nightmare.
You can't patent the natural organism. It's incredibly cheap and easy to grow, and because it's so nutritionally complete, it doesn't create a need for a dozen other isolated supplements. It basically solves too many problems at once for way too little cost.
And here it is. Here's the punchline. The solution was just to rebrand it. By labeling it as superfood and sticking it in the niche little world of wellness and smoothies, it was, for all intents and purposes, neutralized. It was made easy for the mainstream medical and scientific communities to just dismiss it, or simply ignore it.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's just pull back and look at the bigger picture. This story, it's not just about algae. It's about a whole different way of thinking about our health, one that values biology over brand new inventions.
This quote is it's incredibly powerful. In humanitarian crises, spirulina has literally been used to rapidly reverse severe malnutrition in kids. So if it has the biological power to rebuild a body from the brink of starvation, just stop and imagine its potential in a body that's well-fed but totally burdened by the toxins of modern life.
And that right there is really the core idea. Spirulina is this powerful reminder that our bodies have an ancient biological blueprint. Sometimes the most powerful solutions aren't these new, complex inventions, but instead it's about remembering the fundamental, ancient building blocks that our biology evolved with.
Think about that. Just let that sink in for a second. No authority ever outlawed it. No government said it was dangerous. It was never forcibly hidden from anyone.
And that is maybe the most effective way to make something disappear. Not by suppressing it, but by misdirecting everyone. By putting it right there, in plain sight, but inside a box with a label that says, not for serious people.
And so that's the question we want to leave you with. Spirulina's story is such a fascinating case study, and it really makes you wonder, what else is out there, working quietly and effectively, just waiting for us to remember where to look?